Hey guys, this is a segment from the Slumpbuster Podcast. You can find the full episode on any of the various podcast platforms, or of course, subscribe to us on YouTube for more of our content. Other than that, guys, sit down, bust a slump, and enjoy. Now, when it comes to the New York Giants, they finished 4-12 last year. Obviously, we had jokes about their first-round draft pick a year ago, Daniel Jones, selected number 6 overall. And to his credit, I will say Daniel Jones actually can ball. He does have some issues that he has to overcome. He fumbled the ball double-digit times last year in addition to his interceptions. So clearly, turnovers have to take a big step backwards. They fired Pat Shurmur and their new head coach, Joe Judge. The thing, I don't know how to criticize or approach the Joe Judge pick at head coaching position because he's another Belichick disciple. He was a special teams assistant for a little time, worked with the wide receivers. Kind of a jack of all trades out there in New England. So I don't know how good of a coach he is, how bad of a coach he is. It just seemed like a bit of an odd hiring choice in general based off the lack thereof of resume. So whether or not the Giants organization has poor judgment, I guess we'll find out here soon. Overall, though, this team has been horrible the last 5 years. I believe I've seen stats there that their combined record is far and away the worst combined record over a 5-year stretch of all the teams in the NFL. And that includes like the Cleveland Browns, who had a season where they had 0 wins. So can New York finally put themselves on the right track this season, Dre?
I don't know if they will. I don't have them improving very much. I do have them improving a little bit. But I did like Daniel Jones, actually, for as much crap as we gave him for being Eli Manning 2.0, right? And basically looking like a knockoff Eli Manning. He actually, can throw the ball and he can perform decently. Not only does he have the turnover problem, but he also has, it seems like an injury problem, a slight injury problem, which he was injured throughout some of the year. Eli had to come back in for some games. So as long as he can stay healthy throughout most of the season, I think they'll be pretty good. They also lost Saquon for a good stretch of the year. As much of a freak as Saquon is, right? He came back from like a high ankle sprain or something within like 3 or 4 weeks, which is pretty crazy. If he can stay healthy, if Daniel Jones can stay healthy, I think that they improve a little bit. But again, like you said, Joe Judge, I don't know how to evaluate that. I've heard that sometimes you do want special teams coaches as your head coach just because they've sort of interacted with all of the players or they interact with all the positions at some point. But yeah, I don't know how to evaluate it. So for me, I have this team going 5-11.
On the bright side for Joe Judge, and many people will laugh at this decision, but I'll actually give it credit. Hiring Jason Garrett as his offensive coordinator. Now, the fact that Jason Garrett could just do something that he loves, coaching offense, he might actually have a little bit more success. That's a possibility. He doesn't have to be the vocal leader. And I do think probably the biggest thing about Jason Garrett over the last few years in Dallas was his voice started to be like white noise for a lot of those players who had been in that locker room for years. Sometimes you just need to change, and I think that will benefit the Cowboys when we talk about them later. But when it comes to Jason Garrett, I think this is a great opportunity for him to get himself back out there. He's been a big proponent of bell cow running backs, so potentially this could be a big year for Saquon in that regard. And then when it comes to Daniel Jones, I guess my concern with Daniel Jones is similar to a lot of young quarterbacks who have a coaching change in their first couple years. When you lack that continuity, I do think that can hurt you. Now, that isn't to say that I believe the Giants should have kept Pat Shurmur, because Pat Shurmur has shown that he's not an NFL coach at this level. Speaking of people who haven't put themselves as NFL level head coaches, though, their tight end coach, Freddie Kitchens, is also a fun hiring. Unique coaching staff altogether that they have. They've made light adjustments to improve the offensive line. I think that's a huge thing when it comes to this organization as a whole. They've been slowly adding talent to make their defense better as well. I just don't think that they're ready to compete quite yet. And I think there's an obvious tier when it comes to this division when you consider the Cowboys and the Eagles. So for that reason, I have the Giants finishing with a 4-12 record. So no improvement, no decline. I just don't think that they're on the same level as a lot of the teams they're going to be facing this year, whether that be in the NFC West or even in division. They might be able to steal a victory or two from the Eagles or Cowboys throughout the year. But that's an optimistic projection whenever I think about the New York Giants.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't think that they're going to improve very much. Like I said, I have them going 5-11, so I think they make some slight steps up. But honestly, the Eagles and the Cowboys are actually still pretty competitive, right? I know that this isn't necessarily the most tough division in the league, but still, it's a fairly competitive one. And you know that each game with those two teams is going to be difficult. It's going to be tough. So I think it's just hard for the New York Giants right now to move up. We'll see if Joe Judge is a good coach, right? And they continue to add pieces, like you said, on both the offensive and defensive side. Maybe here in a year or two, they can make some noise. But as of right now, yeah, I agree. They're sticking around probably that 4-12, 5-11 spot.